Aloha and welcome to Conversations to Enlighten and Heal. I'm your host, KG Stiles. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Vedic astrologer and tarot master Mo Abdelbaki. Through his lifelong quest into all things metaphysical and working with thousands of clients worldwide, Mo has developed a keen intuitive ability and accuracy with his forecasts. A student of esoteric wisdom for more than 50 years, Mo Abdelbaki's intensive studies have encompassed tarot, Vedic astrology, I Ching, Hermetic Kabbalism, runes, and numerous other spiritual systems of divination. Mo hosts his own weekly radio show and writes a weekly astrology column. Welcome to the show, Mo. It's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, KG. It's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been through quite trial and tribulation getting everything sorted out with the technical things this show. So let's get right to it. Our time is short and we want to get the most out of our time together.
Right.
So today we're going to be talking about this eclipse season that we're in. It's a very powerful eclipse season. We are nearing an Aries super full moon total lunar eclipse on September 27th. Exact at 7:50 p.m. Pacific. So this is the final total lunar eclipse in a rare tetrad series that has been occurring since last year. This is the fourth. And these only occur, this is a rare thing that so many total lunar eclipses occur in a row like this. I think it's been more than 500 years. I don't know about that for sure, but I know you have a passionate sense of what's unfolding for us now. So talk to us, Mo. Okay. How can we make the most of this powerful moment in our life?
Well, first of all, I love eclipses. I've loved them since I was a kid. And I saw my first eclipse, I think it's about 10 years old or something like that. And over the years, I've come to realize that they are really much more powerful than we can kind of feel, because they are subtle. In many parts of the world, when an eclipse occurs, people run and hide. They literally won't prepare food during an eclipse because that food would be tainted, they feel. Well, I don't feel that way. I'm not of that mind. So I view them as an opportunity to view one of the greatest wonders of the world, one of the most amazing things there is, and to contemplate your life fully. Let me tell you kind of how I look at an eclipse. When an eclipse occurs, especially a full lunar total eclipse of the moon, what's happening, and I've got some fun little things to look at in a bit. What's happening is that the shadow of the Earth is being projected fully upon the moon. And I think that there's a great symbolism there. What's happening is that Earth is actually blocking the light of the sun to the moon. Now, we still see the moon because of the atmosphere of the Earth. So it isn't completely blocked out. If you were on the moon, you would just see what appears to be like a total eclipse of the sun, something to that effect. But symbolically to me, what that says is this is the perfect time to project your earthly desires and not so earthly desires to that moon. In other words, to say, look, it's going to cast a shadow upon the moon, which means that I have the ability to now try to give as much of my energy, what I want in my life, what I feel is possible, to the moon. Now we joke and say, we were just joking about how I just had to reboot my computer, and the eclipse is often called a reboot. And that's kind of, I look at it a little differently. It's a consciousness shift. It's an awareness shift if we embrace it, if we are willing to really grab that energy and say, okay, this eclipse is a point of it's a moment. It's a great moment in time. And eclipses themselves aren't that rare. These last four being so close together, it's been quite a while. And so that has to do, of course, with what's known as the Saros cycle and all of that in eclipses. But for us, what it means is that this is the last one. This is our chance. The next lunar eclipse will be, I think, in December of 2018, somewhere right around there. But here's my point. So you put all that energy to the moon. You put that intent, that real world energy to the moon. And then what happens is that every full moon after that, until the vernal equinox, happy equinox, everyone, because that's when we're filming today, is on the equinox. Every full moon, that energy is going to beam back to you. So it's one of those things that we can do. It's our consciousness, our ability to say, okay, this is how I want to believe about this, but also I believe there's something very real, that we are connecting with some energy that seeks to help us fulfill whatever we want to call our destiny, our lives, however. So you just say, okay, this is what I'd like, this is what I want, this is what I'm hoping for, and you allow that. And if you feel uncomfortable viewing the eclipse, as many people do, don't. Just know that that's the perfect time to put your energy toward it. I've got a place scoped out. I know that the moon will be an unobstructed view there, unless there's clouds. If there are clouds, then I will weep, but it's okay. I'll know it's meant to be that way. But I'm going to watch this moon rise on Sunday, the 27th. Why? Because it's going to rise eclipsed. And that, to me, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've seen a lot of eclipses where the moon is up and the shadow comes and it goes. That's fascinating, but this is going to rise as the eclipse is occurring, and I've just never seen that before, and probably never will again. So this is an opportunity for you for the next 6 months to really put energy into this, and then to really reap the benefits for at least 2 years, maybe a little bit more. The next lunar eclipse visible from North America will be in January of 2019. So that gives you an idea of how long it's going to be until we get to do this again. So how about we begin with that? That's how I think about it. This is an opportunity to change just about everything. And whatever house it's in your chart, consider it very powerful. I do Vedic astrology, so it's different. But it's mainly about the house. Look to what house it's in.
So for in the Western astrology, it's 4-degree Aries. And in Vedic astrology, what degree is it, Mo?
It's going to be actually in a completely different, let me take a look at the exact degrees here. It's going to occur in 10 degrees of Pisces. So it's very different because we use the sidereal system. I actually will show why that is in a bit when I start showing some pictures and so on.
Go right ahead. Keep going.
Well, let's start with this idea of the eclipse. A lot of people don't understand what an eclipse is and what it does. This is, let me get to the right thing here, and this has been an interesting day, but we'll get it figured out here. All right. Can you see my my screen? Okay, very good. So let's look at this first one. This is what the eclipse will look like from wherever you are, if it's provided you're out on the prairie. This is actually an astronomy software that's, I think, pretty amazing. It's called Starry Night 7.0, and it's the pro version. But so this will be the eclipse, and this is actually the moon eclipse.
Can you bring it up? Can you?
This is actually just a picture. If I start up Starry Night, that may be what has been part of the problem. It's pretty intense.
Okay, so, there we go.
Yeah, now this is from the moon. So here's what it looks like. Let's go back here. This is from the Earth, looking at the moon. This is the eclipse. Now, this is what the eclipse would look like on the moon, and this is as it's coming into place. So we see that the Earth and the moon are both moving, but that the shadow of the Earth itself is about to go in front of the sun. Now, it hasn't done that yet. And when it does this, that is exactly what it would look like on the moon. I think it would be darker, but, that's not being simulated. So what we see there is that the reason for the eclipse of the moon is because the sun moves between, or I'm sorry, the Earth moves between the sun and the moon. So if you were on the moon, it would look like this. Now, let's take a look at it from outer space, from the sun's point of view. Here you can see, let me see if I can, here we can see the Earth, and here we see the moon. So we're way out there. Now let's take a look. As the moon moves, and it will do that, then the Earth blocks the sun completely to the moon. So that's what it's going to do on the 27th. That's what it does on every one. Now, this is the ecliptic. Most people don't understand that an eclipse can occur. Well, actually, we have eclipse seasons. They happen twice a year, every year. But we don't always have full lunar eclipses. But we have eclipses every year. They're very common because of this fact. And what we're talking about are the nodes, what we call the north and south nodes. Now, the nodes are the places where the moon crosses the ecliptic. This is the ecliptic. And what is the ecliptic? The ecliptic is the imaginary line that the sun follows all year long, okay, as it goes across the sky. So we see that it's going to go here and here and here. It's in March. It begins March. And right here is the vernal equinox. And this is where this eclipse is occurring. So you can see that the moon is very close to the ecliptic. If it's further up or further down, it probably won't happen that way. Okay. So and I've actually put a video on my YouTube page. It's Mo Abdelbaki, I think is what it's called. And you just put my name in and you will get a group of videos. I'm actually creating one now about the equinox and so on. Now, here is where it will occur. Here again, we're out on the plains and we're looking at this lunar eclipse. Here's the equinox point. Now, notice that the eclipse is taking place in Pisces. Okay. In the Western system, it's way over here in Aries. And this is because of the tropical system versus the sidereal system. It does not in any way, shape, or form negate Western astrology because they're two different systems, okay? And if we were to look at it, that's what the ancients saw. Don't you? Isn't that beautiful? This is Aquarius. Here's Pisces. Here's Andromeda. I just think this is gorgeous. And this is what they would see. So let's see what else I have here. And this is, of course, showing the vernal point as it's known, and where the eclipse will occur. So this is why it's so vital, because it has moved. This is the vernal point right here. In 6 months from today, the sun will be right here in the sky, right here. And so what I'm saying is that we have to then, and it will come this direction across this ecliptic. So we've got a few days, about a day, because it moves about 12 to 13 degrees a day, the moon. And so we've got a few days after the eclipse when it will reach that same point where the eclipse occurred. But to me, this is a really powerful, I'm getting silly things from something, but this will be a really powerful time over the next 6 months, because right now the moon is on the opposite side of the ecliptic. So all of this basically is to say, and let me get here so I can get to these ones. Oh, if you're wondering what the eclipse will look like Sunday night at Stonehenge, it'll look just like this, if you can see the moon. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Wouldn't you love to see it there? Because I would.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it where I see it.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to seeing the moon eclipsed as it's rising. And I had this intuition to join that, to really take in. I like to look at the planets and
Yes.
and absorb their energy. I find that to be very helpful energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helps recharge my own. So when I look at especially a Venus that has just retrograded and is now back in the morning sky, which is mostly the placement we think of with Venus is for her to be in the morning. And I just like to drink in. It feels like it recharges my Venusian energy, especially since Venus has been doing all this with the Leo, and I have that Leo ascendant. So, if that feels right for you to drink in the Venusian, to see Venus in the morning sky, wake up a little early so that you will see that. And later that day, when I don't know where you are in the world, so it could be, your timing could be definitely different than mine, but to conjoin those, I feel that myself, I had an insight that Venus is getting ready to move over into Virgo. I think that there's energy that we absorb from the planets that moves us forward, that helps us. It's like an elixir that works alchemically in us and helps us to synergize, synthesize, alchemize emotions. Especially the moon is so connected to our emotional body. And during this whole period, I'm getting into a download here, can you tell? This whole period that we've been in, I've just felt this whole release of emotional energy from the collective emotional body, this purging that's been taking place. And I just want to, encourage everyone to go through the purging, the intensity of the purging, if there's any more of that for you, if you're experiencing that, and to allow Venus in to really absorb those energies to help you with that process, and then to connect with the moon energies, this eclipse energy, to help you with the purging and to bring in, so that you have clear space to bring in what is here for you. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Perfect and beautifully said, by the way, beautifully said. I thought you might enjoy seeing a Vedic chart. And here is a Vedic chart. This is the Vedic chart of the eclipse. And we start here. This is the South Indian system, as it's known. And so this is Aries, this is Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and so on, all the way around, all the way to Pisces. And so we can see that this eclipse and the actual moment of the eclipse, with you, it'll be, you said 750 for culmination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here it's going to be, that's probably the wrong term, but it's, I think it's close. And 2050 or 850 here, which I'm in Colorado. So one of the things that's interesting is we talked about it's been talked about the squeeze of Saturn and Jupiter. And in the Vedic system, we look at things a little differently than we do in the West. We say we don't have squares. That's something we don't actually have. But what we do have, every planet has its own set of transit aspects that it puts forth. So, for example, we would say that every planet aspects the seventh house across from it. So Venus here in Cancer, in the Vedic system, is fully aspecting Capricorn the entire time that she is in Cancer. And as you can see here on the right on, she'll be at 28 degrees, so almost out of there. But we also know that there are some other things going on. So we look at the Mercury retrograde, which has been fully empowered today, without a doubt, with me. And actually the other day too. We went to do my radio show on Monday and Skype was down, completely down. And I thought, oh, welcome to the retrograde. So here we have Saturn. Saturn in this system is in Scorpio. It's going to be there for a while. And Saturn aspects the third house away from it, 1, 2, 3, and the 10th house away from it, right here. Now, Jupiter aspects the 5th house, which would be here, and the 9th house, which would be here. But what really brings all this, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, is that Mars, which is right here, aspects the 4th house away from it, and the 10th house away from it, and the 7th as well. So what we see here is that there is a definite squeeze play going on. We see that there is a lot of competition going on from Mars and Jupiter for rulership, and that's in Leo. Now, wow, I think that we can see that with the presidential elections going on, or at least the running for the elections, the primaries that are coming up, and the debates and all of that stuff. But also there's kind of a meanness in the air that I've noticed. A lot of name calling, a lot of finger pointing, and some of that is going to be from this right here, from Saturn aspecting the 10th house away from it, which is Jupiter, and Mars in Leo, which could be people who have some sort of notoriety, and then Mars fully fighting back right here. So I don't know if you've had any, I've had some kind of interesting letters lately that are, I don't know what the word would be, but interesting is a good way to put it. Have you had anything like that, KG?
Well, I've really seen, here we're switching to Western, from my perspective. I don't know how this, because I try to get my head wrapped around, the Vedic, but it would still be the same aspect.
Still the same.
It's square,
still that square,
the square,
right.
Square between Pluto and Mercury,
Right.
which has gone retrograde. And one of the things I've seen is, Pluto, of course, the planet of death, rebirth. I've seen a lot of people crossing over, and
Interesting.
I think Mercury and Uranus both are electric energies. And so they're very much about your connections. That can be your connection to your own physical body. That right now with this eclipse coming in, things are being eclipsed, things are being purged, and so a lot of times things come up to the surface, and it's like the last, it kind of raises its head up to get, so that it can get released. So when you were talking about what you did, I think there is some of that old world patriarchal you know, might makes right, that whole, you know, that kind of energy you're talking about, that
Right.
is surfacing now. And people don't want that anymore.
I think they, yeah, and people
You know,
are, it's,
and I think even to not even resist it, it's like, you know, you don't want to give it any energy because you don't
right.
want it to go on anymore. It's not worth your time. You want to focus on what it is you want to bring in now.
Rather than what is being thrust upon us in many ways. So
Yes.
now I think personally, everyone, I've brought up a couple of charts. These are known as the Dashamsha and the Navamsha charts, and this is for the eclipse. And what these are mathematical models taken from the original chart itself. And we use these a lot in the Vedic system. They're actually, well, we usually use about 16 of them. You can have quite a few. And this one, the Navamsha, usually deals with happiness, sometimes relationships, marriages, that sort of thing. And Dashamsha with the real world, how you're going to do in the real world. So I thought it might be fun just to kind of take a look at these and say that the outstanding aspects of this for everyone for the eclipse is going to be that for your personal happiness, we've got the ascendant is going to be Sagittarius. Jupiter is going to be in the 9th house. That's a lovely place for it to be. A lovely place for it to be. And the ruler of Leo is the sun, and the sun is going to be right here in the 5th house from the ascendant, which is Aries. And we know that Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is in the 7th house in Gemini, which means this is going to be a remarkably good time for relationships to evolve if you want them to. This eclipse is going to be powerful when it comes to putting forth your ideas into what do I want in the real world? Well, you want spirituality, of course. You want to have betterment of your finances. This is right here in the 11th house, which is Libra, and the moon is going to actually be in there when it happens. So this is going to charge a lot of energy for people. We're going to have Saturn in Virgo, and this is all it's all mathematical how these are derived, but it makes sense once you learn it. And so this is going to be excellent for career. This is one of the best types of charts of its kind I've seen in a long, long time. And everything about the mind, as long as you are able to put your mind to spirituality, to the reality of your heart and your life, you will really feel good for the next 6 months for sure. Now, in the real world, we can see that we have a lot of energy going around right here, and this is in Capricorn. The ascendant will be Capricorn, and Capricorn is going to be in the 10th house, which is excellent for anything having to do with the real world. And especially since it's Libra, that should work out pretty well. There are some things to watch out for. Watch out for people trying to steal your ideas or steal your thunder. Watch out for people trying to take advantage of things. That's right here. Watch out for, as long as you're aware of it, you'll be fine. As long as you keep your mind to the fact, and you actually are very protected here by the sun in the 8th house in Leo. So that's just how we kind of look at things. So it should be pretty darn powerful and pretty darn good. So let me just come back to here, and I'm back.
Yes, and from the Western perspective, I mean, we have some really, I know you know Western astrology, we have some really yummy things coming up in October with Jupiter and Venus and Mars and Pluto.
All
and
of that is right here. Yeah.
that is
Good.
all here. And that's why I was saying, you know, Venus is getting ready. You want to really, I don't know, I'm feeling it so strong because of it's been in my own, you know, where my ascendant is, you know, the Venus always has so many gifts for us. And then you have Neptune, that higher octave, really coming in now. You know, I feel like, you know, something you said before about when a planet is coming up from behind, it is becoming into the dominant position. It's beginning to gain power in that situation. So another thing I noticed was I was thinking about that with Jupiter coming up on Saturn, because Saturn usually so controls things, but I think Jupiter coming up from behind now, what do you think about that? Do you think that's going to have any, even though it's in a different part of the sky in Vedic
It's going to be another
astrology,
4 years or so, but absolutely. I mean, as they begin to,
I mean, it'll just keep coming up
Right.
closer and closer.
Well, the way I look at it too, when you have Saturn with that 10th house energy that it throws backwards that way. It's a powerful indication that it's trying to hold Jupiter back. And of course, you can't hold Jupiter back. That's progress. We're going to have progress. And
Yes.
once Jupiter breaks free of that, a lot of energy is going to be put forward towards Saturn. And really, when they come into the same house, which would be probably in about 5 or 6 years, the same
They're in
sign.
Capricorn.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at all the degrees of that. I know Pluto's still in Capricorn then.
It's going to be a very powerful time for us, because those are the giants of the outer system, the wheel of the solar system, and that will be a time of great shift and great change. So in the meantime, what we're viewing is a lot of what I call growing pains. We've got growing pains. I mean, it's funny the type of things that set people off. There's a lot of fear going on right now, a lot of fear over politics, fear over security and terrorism and things like that. And I've never seen such rampant finger pointing by men and women who are in the real world, who are just us, you see, not celebrities, not politicians, but people saying, this group is bad and needs to be curtailed, and this group is dangerous, and we need to keep our eyes on all of them. All of them. And I've never seen that. Well, not since the 60s, when
I would say the 50s, late 50s, it started coming on.
It was huge.
I mean, that was, I remember, having to do these, these emergency
yes.
for,
Duck
getting
and
under
cover
your
drills.
desk and
duck and cover. I remember.
I mean, there was a lot of polarization back then,
And it's happening again. And we've got some demagoguery going on out there, some big guys who are throwing around a lot of big ideas with very little fact.
Don't you think that happens, though, before these big systems fall apart?
It's before they change, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know about falling apart.
Before they, well, I mean,
I
mean, it's that dissolution to have a regeneration,
Right.
that kind of thing. They regenerate, and there has been a lot of regeneration already that's taken place.
Oh, and much more to come.
Yeah,
much more to come.
I think what we're going through right now, I mean, if you look at all the growth and change that happened right at the turn of the century when we industrialized and we got electric lights and running toilets and, running water and indoor toilets and all that. I mean, I think that is, I don't even, I mean, maybe it's 1,000 times or more than the kind of change we're going through,
That's right.
that we're looking at is just.
And part of it is just being human. I mean, a friend of mine, his family his grandfather or great-grandfather came to this country, and the Irish were being discriminated against. It was great-grandfather. And so their name were Connemara, the son of the dog of the sea. And what a great name. And they changed their name about 1914, 1915 to Mac, because the Irish were so maligned in this country. And of course, that's when World War I was going, where they did right before the war. And so they were, basically given a lot of trouble for being German, and they weren't, they were Irish. And so they decided not to change their name anymore, just to be who they were. And I think that we're beginning to see a lot of that again, that kind of idea of this group is bad. This group is, trouble. And even people who are enlightened, who are intelligent, who are metaphysically minded, KG, they're beginning to act those things out, because they're buying into the fear mongering that is being done by these very powerful, high profile people. And I'm just going to say this eclipse will not tolerate that. We can cast our shadow upon the moon, but we cannot deny the light of the moon, which is a reflection of the truth from the sun. So if you are holding these ideals of racism or ethnic, whatever generalities, then you will end up on the outside looking in. This is a time to open up spiritually. It's easy to do. Fear is very easy to buy into. Look what happened in Texas with the boy with the clock, and I got some flack about the column I wrote about that. I didn't say they were wrong at all, because they did what they thought was right. They said, we think this is a bomb, or it could be. But what I was saying was this: it's too bad that we are in this place in time, that we have come to a place where we are once again beginning to say everyone of this ethnic or religious group is dangerous to us. And certainly some are. There's no doubt about that. But once we get into, and that is something that I think we should really be aware of during this eclipse, because those ideals, those ideas, and where it's happening Vedically to me is about the times they are changing, and they are going to move. And so the next 6 months are really an opportunity to make some decisions about what you want in your life and how you want to think as well, and to embrace those.
Yes, I think it's all an inside job. You know, you have to see what is being mirrored inside yourself and face your own fears. Be willing to experience. You know, I myself have gone through so much tremendous fear. You know, it's like sometimes continual, because I've absorbed so much, and I'm learning how not to take things in anymore, to alchemize them and transmute them in my own being. I don't do it that way anymore. You know, that's an old way of healing that I didn't even know I was doing it when I was early on. But that's, you know, it's that compassionate, caring, where you want to take it on and you want to make it better kind of a thing, basically. So I think, you know, I think that Neptune will have a handle in all that as far as helping people grow in their compassion. I think there's these deep forces at work evolving us. We're being evolved. I mean, the planets are evolving, everything's evolving, and those forces are operating inside of us. And evolving us is something that's happening, and you can't resist that, the natural forces that are evolving you.
No, they're part of life.
It's to surrender to that, trust that things are happening for you, to see that you're a beautiful person and that beautiful things are happening for you, and to align with this beautiful imagination about your potential and who you are and who you're becoming. And to, you know, that's what you energize. You don't go running after these things you don't want in your life, because then you just, I don't know if you know of Mother Mira, but she's been a spiritual teacher of mine. I've gotten darshan from her, and she just receiving, I don't know if you've ever received darshan from someone who really, you know, it's not what she says, but it's her presence and that she's in touch with the truth. And it's something that's really transmitted to you. And I feel like the planets transmit that to us. The moon transmits that to us. The sun, you know, that gets transmitted. That truth is always being transmitted. It's just, are you taking it in? What are you focusing your energies on? What are you allowing yourself to focus on, to allow it to, you know, to align with that energy? Does that make sense? What I just
Makes perfect sense. Sure it does. Yeah. And that's the thing, is we often fight against our best interest.
We just, because it's like a part of us has it in for ourselves. You know, when you're being turned in like that, you know what I'm saying, and viewing things in such a way. I mean, you know, I mean, I think to connect the dot and realize, what am I, you know, what kind of spell am I casting on my own self and my life by seeing things like that?
That's right.
You know, so, you know, waking up to having more of a realization of what you're really doing through your behaviors, through what you're choosing to focus your attentions on. So, such a wonderful period we're in. I mean, it's very challenging, but we really need to step more into mastery, self-mastery.
And the more we're conscious of, the more alert we are, the less we allow others to make our decisions or to make up our mind for us, the better off we'll be. I believe in cautious awareness. I believe in being alert. I believe in understanding why we feel the way we do. And I never believe in knee-jerk reactions. you
Yes.
know.
Well, that's your
So,
gift. I mean, that's, as human beings, that's our gift.
right,
You
right,
know, that we don't realize that what a treasure that is, that we can make these choices, we can make these decisions, that we can be able to, change, shift our perceptions, shift our perspectives, that we can be able to find out our own truth of what the
right.
meaning is for us in our own lives. And that's a gift. Animals, and we're in that process. I mean, we're both animals, and we have the consciousness. So there's that, that's the whole journey,
That's
that
right.
whole dance of how to do that. And I hope we're coming into a period where we can be more mature and awake, so that we can, we take it, I don't know, all mine has become an inside job at this point.
Right.
I don't really,
It
I
is
don't find it
all
very
very
fruitful
important.
to look at someone outside myself and see what are they doing. I need to look at how am I responding to this, and what does
Mhm.
this mean for me, and what is my perspective of, and really do that inner work, and deal with my hard feelings. There can be some very uncomfortable feelings that come up.
And since we're all connected, if we benefit ourselves, everyone else is benefited to some extent.
Yes,
You know,
yes, we help alchemize the whole thing.
that's right.
And the more awareness you have, I think the more influence you actually have in the collective.
Right. And I hate to do this, but
Okay, could you do a tarot for us really quickly?
what would you like to look
Just,
at?
well, I would like to see two cards. One
Okay.
that symbolizes just sort of like uh, what is it we're synthesizing right now, and that's going to lead into where we're going. I don't know if you want to do a 3-card spread or how you would like to do that, but I'd like to see just sort of a recap of this year, a card for a recap, as well as any actions to take and what we're looking for, what we're moving towards next year. So just some sort of
Change, lots and lots of change, and much of it impactful, powerful. It's going to be a balance of lunar and solar energies. It's going to be a balance of, well, here's a card that I drew, which I don't know how well it can be sun and moon, you see, in opposition to each other. Um, so it's the strength card from the Crowley deck, but this is about determination. What I'm seeing here is that we have to make some very clear decisions about what we would like over the next year, and then make those impactful on the winter solstice coming up. So, pardon me. So, say here's what I really want. I'm going to put this, as we said, in the eclipse as well. And then I want to energize that again with the winter solstice, and really then kind of just sit on it and what's happening is strength, power. There's a lot moving, and we can't deny it. It's just like I was saying, it's almost all of it is earth energy. And it's earth energy that is saying the world is changing. We need to be able to change with it, but we need to guide that change as much as possible. So it doesn't have to be chaos. It doesn't have to be fear-based, but it has to be conscious, and it has to be aware. And that's what's coming up from what I can see. Okay. A lot of change in the next 6 months. I predict that. A lot of change by this time next year. And I think positive.
well,
Okay.
that's perfect.
All
I
right.
love the words. The 3 words that I heard there were the strength, the power, and the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Which to me is the embodiment piece.
Right. Very much so.
So, well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us today, Mo.
Thank you.
So I did want to, the times for the eclipse were, I am going to post a time zone converter so you can check out your time in the world where the eclipse is. So thank you so much for being with us today,
My
Mo.
pleasure. I would just like to mention that I do have, I'm an advisor at 1-2-Listen, which is a service, a phone service. And, but I also have a radio show every Monday. I talk about this type of thing on 1-2 Radio. So,
Thank you.
mhm.
So mahalo and much love to everyone. Wishing you happy days always. Thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, relax, enjoy your life, and stay connected.